And another Cowboys and Coffee episode is back up here. It's a designated report joint. I'm back as usual. I'm Paul D. Good to see you back. And we have another Cortese son, Spenser Cortese. Spencer, welcome back, or welcome to the show. First time, long time listener. We're glad you're on the show, man. It's about time.
And his real name is Spenser Cortese. Just to clarify that. Go ahead.
No, I'm definitely glad to finally be on. It's a long time waiting, so getting excited for the season. So I'm ready to get into it.
It will definitely be. I'm already ready. I think it's June. It's literally not even the middle of June, and I'm already like jonesing for football. We're recording this on Monday night. NBA playoffs could very well end tonight for the Nuggets. Beating the Heat. NHL playoffs are going to wrap up soon, and then it's like nothing. We're going to have camp for a few weeks. You know what I mean? So I'm ready. I love summer. I'm ready for football. I don't know about you guys. We're back with a new set of things we're going to talk about, and tonight we're going to do better, worse, or the same. That's the segment we're doing tonight. We're going to go through all the NFC East rivals and say, are they on offense and defense and overall? Are they better? Are they worse? Or are they the same? And then we'll do the Cowboys. We'll talk about them at the very end. Let's start right at the top, the New York Football Giants. And I love it because, Saquon Barkley's been in the news a lot lately about potentially staying out the whole year. God bless. Let's look at the Giants. Let's kick it right over to the New York Football Giants. Better, worse, or the same than last year?
I think they're going to be slightly better, just because they did add offense. Waller, if he can stay healthy, it's going to be a big piece for them. It's all coming down to Daniel Jones, really. But, the moves that they made to give him some more playmakers on the outside, you have to be better. It'd be a complete collapse if all those guys were banged up and, didn't play up to their potential. I like Deontay Banks, the corner that they got. I think that's a big upgrade for them as well. So I'm going to say just slightly better. Hyatt, the wide receiver from Tennessee, is real good. He is a rookie, so there's going to be a learning curve and stuff like that. But I think they have to be better. It's all just going to rely on Daniel Jones. I know we'll eventually talk about that, but, getting a huge contract in the offseason, I don't think it was a smart move. But with all the weapons, just looking at on paper and at this stage, in the year, that's all we can do is look on paper. They have to be better. We'll see if the defense can still play up to that level. I know me and D talk about this all the time. It's hard to be good as a defense, year after year after year. So we'll see. And they still have some question marks on the offensive line. They lost Feliciano. Evan Neal's going to have to step up in year two. So we'll see what they do, but on paper, they have to be slightly better. I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be slightly better.
See, where are you going with the Giants? Better, worse, or the same?
I'm going to say the same. So if they're better, that means they're making the playoffs again. So why I think they're the same is I don't count draft choices into my coming year. I count free agents improving my team. Because there's no proof yet from a college player that you're going to do anything. I do like Hyatt. I've told you from day one. He'll to touch on that. That is a big playability, throwing the ball 5 yards and making a touchdown out of it. That'll make Daniel Jones look good. Which $40 million, he better play like $40 million. The tight end they got him from the Raiders, been hurt the last 2-3 years. Okay, so where else have they improved? Now, their offensive line, another year together. Their left tackle, the right tackle, he has to improve. He'll get a little lighter on his feet because he was a weak link on there last year. Now, the backfield with holding out of the running back is key to their success. You do not want Jones running the football. I say this all the time. You have your starting quarterback go down from any period of time. You're going to have a losing record during that time. You're not going to have a winning record. And that is the key to this year. Jones staying healthy because he's going to run the ball like Allen. And guess what? That Eagle defense, Cowboy defense, and the Commodores, Conquistadors, whatever they call them name, they're going to bust him up. And that's the end of that season right there. So that's why I'm giving them the same. I'm just giving them a little love. Outside of that, I'm not crazy what they did.
Well, for me, it really is interesting because I think it totally hangs in the balance on what happens with Saquon. We're at a point, and one of our guys from Designated Report, John L. Pinnell. John L. does a great job as he's been tracking, running backs and their value to teams over the last several years. And you're going to be at a place where are they going to put themselves, the Giants going to put themselves and Joe Shane and this newer Giant front office in a position where they're tagging or connecting themselves to a running back who has been hurt in the past, and they're going to do that into his 30s financially. We see the Vikings just let go of Dalvin Cook. The Cowboys let go of Ezekiel Elliott. That's not the play teams are doing these days. Now, Saquon sits out. We're very likely to see a similar situation to Le'Veon Bell, who was by far the best running back in the NFL when he played. He sat out, and when he was out of the league shortly after, he was absolute garbage. I mean, he did end up playing with a couple other teams, but he never was up to that elite level. He wasn't even actually really a good running back or an average running back at that point. He was well below average. So it really, for me, depends totally on what Saquon does. Now, yeah, they signed Jamison Crowder. They signed Paris Campbell. These guys they're slot receivers. Now they have a bunch of slot receivers with what do they have? Wan'Dale Robinson now, Sterling Shepard. They don't have any guy to go out on the edge and really beat you over the top or to dominate the game. Now, slot receivers get theirs, but if you can dominate from the outside, that's what makes you a very good receiver. They don't have that guy there. Darren Waller's been hurt. He has not put up great years. He's had 2 super productive years and 7 seasons playing, and the last 2 years he's been injured. So what does he do there? I'm going to say that because they didn't really lose anybody big. Now they lost some of their linemen, right? Nick Williams, the D lineman, left. Richie James has gone, a wide receiver. That doesn't matter. John Feliciano's gone, and Nick Gates, 2 of their interior linemen. But their draft picks, they led me to believe that they're going to be in a much better position, especially with Jalen Hyatt. You got the center from Michigan. Deontay Banks is good. I'm going to say better team, worse record, because I think they definitely played above. It feels very Parcellsians, if that makes sense. The Cowboys, or a lot of teams when Parcells would take over that first year, they would bring in some different talent. They would play better, have a very good record. That second year, they'd start to adjust the roster, and they would probably be a better team, but not win as much. And that's what I think they're at. So I'm going to say better team, worse record. So that's where we're at with the New York Football Giants. Next, we are moving down the road to the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending NFC champs. We're going here, and D, I'm going to kick to you first. Better, worse, or the same overall?
Well, if I have to say the same, that means they're making the playoffs, which I think they will make the playoffs. That's not crazy to say that. There is going to be some adjustments, obviously, offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. Is your quarterback going to have the same type year? Your running backs, who are your running backs?
Swift and Rashad Penny.
Swift. Yeah, they got DeAndre Swift.
So they're going by committee. They're going to run him. And again, you're going to find that offensive line. The offensive line is going to be a little step back. It's going to be a step back towards as a functional as they did in the past and so forth. Are they going to have the same type of people are going to be gunning for them now? They're good. They're a late team. Teams are going to be playing harder against them. He's going to get hit harder. Is Hurts going to come back, have the same type of year? I think it's going to be slightly below his last year. I like him. Don't get me wrong. I love his leadership. Love him as a person, but I don't like him as an Eagle. Okay, simple as that. Their defense, overrated. they're going to take a big step back. I don't, like I said, my philosophy of going into the year, I don't count on draft picks. You don't even put stars on their helmets yet, so you can't count them. That's how I look at it. We'll see the Georgia guys, the Bulldogs, what they do. See if Davis plays, the other Dean plays, and then come and talk to me how that defense is. Because they had everything last year, and their defense did not win the Super Bowl or lost it for them. That's where I am. So I'm going to say stay the same. They will make the playoffs, but they're not going to be as good.
Spen, where are we at with the Eagles? Better, worse, or the same?
So I'm going to kind of do what you did, a little bit different, Paul. Same team, but or same record, but worse team. So I think they got worse. I think they have a really easy schedule too. What Dee was saying about rookies, rookies cannot, it's once in a while they'll come in and produce at such a high level, like a Micah Parsons or somebody like that. You lost Hargrave. I know Jalen Carter is a great pickup if he doesn't, shoot someone in the club or, get a DUI or something like that. He's a great pickup, but is he going to do the same as Hargrave, who's played amazing for them? I highly doubt it. They lost linebacker TJ Edwards, Kaiser White. Nolan Smith dropped for a reason. I think he is a wannabe Micah Parsons, poor man's Parsons. He's smaller, in height and size. I don't think he's going to pan out. And I think these Georgia Bulldogs they're overrated. Davis barely played. Nakobe Dean didn't see the field at all. So you got a guy who didn't see the field with TJ Edwards and Kaiser White, and all of a sudden he's going to replace that production. And Smith, as well. I don't see it. You lost Marcus Epps, safety for them, and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Terrell Edmonds is not going to replace that. Me and Dee have been saying this all offseason. The Eagles were trying to replace, and as the Cowboys will get to, they were adding. A lot of other teams were adding talent. They were not replacing. So I think they have a really easy schedule. They'll probably end up around the same record, but they're going to be a worse team. They're going to be overinflated just like last year. They did not play good teams.
I mean, I don't know that it's fair to call them overinflated. They made the Super Bowl and they were in the game. They could have won. The reality is, if Jalen Hurts does not turn the ball over and give Kansas City a score, that's a whole different game. I don't know that. Tell me that they're overrated. Tell me that. Tell me they're overrated, that they're not last year's team. I think you said last year's team was overrated or overinflated. Tell me last year's team was overinflated. This year, but go ahead. You continue.
Well, I thought the defense. I'm sorry, son. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying the defense, I think, like Dee said, was definitely overrated. The offense, they played a lot of bad teams. The NFL had a lot of bad teams, and bad teams got a lot better this year. The Texans got better. The Jags were on the rise last year. They're coming out of nowhere. There's a lot of other teams that, Detroit, they were a so-so team last year. I think they got better too. I think the league is going to be at a little bit higher of a level, but still their schedule is very, very easy coming up this year. I think last year they kind of got it easy, especially that last stretch to end the season, playing teams that we knew were not going to be contenders or weren't going to be good. And plus another year to figure out that system. The other thing that we haven't talked about is losing your offensive and defensive coordinator. There's going to be some sort of learning curve. Obviously, defensive schemes, you might be able to, whoever, I forgot who they got, but, maybe the scheme fits well. So all these players that they kept from last year, they're also going to be learning a new system. We're going to see what the head coach can do with that offense, with a new offensive coordinator in there. So there's going to be some changeover just with that alone. I think a team, at least for the first half of the year, is going to have some struggles kind of getting used to everything. And we'll see if Hurts can pick it up with his play, because that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to say same, but, I don't know how much I trust the defense as well. Jordan Davis, people sing his praise, always big and strong. Was he playing 20 snaps a game last year? He wasn't. Is he going to play 20, 25 snaps a game this year? Jalen Carter will come in. D tackles don't really come in off the bat and make a huge difference if you're not playing that many snaps. A 15, 20 snap per game D tackle does not make the same difference as a D tackle who plays the whole game. Like, that's just the reality of it. And they're not in condition to do so. Fletcher Cox is 32. Brandon Graham is older. They're relying on Josh Sweat, who they got at the end. Well, he's never been an elite pass rusher. You're also talking about Nakobe Dean. James Bradbury comes back. The Cowboys cooked James Bradbury since he's been with the Giants.
Yeah.
Darius Slay is good, but there's a reason why I think they were talking about moving on from him. They were able to make things work. Their safeties are not good. They're not just average. I know they drafted Sidney Brown, but they really are not good safeties. And you can say whatever you want about drafting Georgia players or anything. Offensively, yes, Jalen Hurts comes back. Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, one of the best duos in the NFL. Goddard's a good tight end. The offensive line is very good. You still have to worry about Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey. They're both older. They both have been injured the last couple of years, played through injuries. I mean, Lane Johnson, man, that guy is a tank. I mean, he's played through some
Absolutely.
seasons.
Yeah.
Both of them Hall of Famers. There's no
Of
doubt about it.
course.
Lane Johnson says he shouldn't be because he got busted for PEDs or steroids, but that's a different topic. Still, I think
Absolutely.
they're both Hall of Fame caliber.
Yes, they are. I
linemen.
vote for them.
So I think that I don't know that I could say they've definitely improved, even with the 2 first-round picks. We're going to find out really what it looks like for Nolan Smith. I've seen him out there, and he looks kind of small to me, and he's going to be going up against the Giants have big tackles.
I think he's listed at 235.
Yeah,
Yes, it's one.
he's going up against big linemen in this division. It is not going to be easy. Even if, let's say Tyron goes down and Tyler Smith kicks out to left tackle, Terrence Steele right tackle. Those are big boys you're going to have to go up against. You have speed, yeah, but they're going to maul you. They're going to run right at you. I'm interested to see how they go at that, rebuilding their team, I guess, or putting him out there, what position they're going to put him in to succeed with a new defensive coordinator, with a new offensive coordinator. I'll say they're going to be the same. They got DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny, Miles Sanders, who just hasn't been impressive the last couple of years, and Lord knows why the Carolina Panthers fans are like, we got a team now with 4 number 3 receivers and a number 2 running back. So that's a different topic. But DeAndre Swift isn't running for 800-900 yards every year, and he doesn't score double-digit touchdowns. Spen, go ahead.
Also, another thing to consider for the Philly, they lost that guard, Isaac, and I can never say his name right, so Sumalu. Mm-hmm. And they also lost Andre Dillard, who was a tackle in waiting. If Lane Johnson's injuries, like you said, he is a tank. I mean, he's just absolutely a monster. Those injuries start to pile up, and this is the year that Father Time comes knocking. They don't have Dillard to rely on. Losing that guard is also, going to be big as well. So there's some depth issues on the offensive line. They have studs, but you don't want to see anyone get banged up. Like you said, the Cowboys have different people that they can move around and plug and play. But, we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well as the season goes on.
It's an excellent point. Do they have the depth? We've seen teams, who have had to pull guys in and move guys around. Do they have the depth that they've had the last couple of years? I don't think so along the offensive line. That happens. You have to cycle through players, but with an older offensive line or some key players, I would say, that are older, what's going to happen? You got to hope that they could stick out this season. Okay, so that's where we're at there. We're going to move over to the final team in the NFC East, the Washington Commanders. I'm going to start with the Commanders, and I'm going to say straight up, they got worse. I know.
It's worse, sir.
Yeah, I understand. Taylor Heineke was their quarterback last year, along with Carson Wentz. But I don't think Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett, who is a great human being. I'm glad he's made his money. He's done fine. He just signed another $10 million deal with them, $8 million guaranteed. Like, man, if you can't be a star, be a backup quarterback, right? Jacoby Brissett's done it. I don't think that puts them in a better position to win this year. I know they got, Nick Gates to come in. He had a compound fracture of his left tibia a couple years ago.
Yeah, please.
I'm not, they got
You
Cameron
just like starting
Dantzler.
fights.
Right. They got Cameron Dantzler from the Vikings. He's not, I mean, that's a bad Vikings defense. He didn't play well there. Their biggest thing was re-signing Deron Payne to a 4-year deal, which is a smart move. But I don't know that I think that they are definitively better to the point where like, oh man, they're better. And I don't think with the quarterback situation, I can say they're the same. I think they have a roster that could compete if they had a legitimate quarterback. If they went out and made a move for a quarterback who was on the who was out there who could really, they should have mortgaged the house for Aaron Rodgers. They didn't. They're going with Sam Howell, who I don't. Who cares? Last game of the year where he did to Dallas, I really don't care. We're going to see a whole season of him. Does he get them to 9 wins? If you look at their schedule, it's brutal. I don't see 9 wins. I don't see 8 wins on this roster. I think mostly because of the quarterback position, they are worse. Spencer, where are you at?
Not worse, but worst. Like they are the afterthought of the NFC East, in my opinion. I don't think Howell's going to pan out well. I think Bieniemy is going to regret going there. He will probably take over the reins because Rivera is going to be done after this year. They picked Forbes in the first round, which I like his style of play. He's a ball hawk, but you had Christian Gonzalez on the board, and you had Deontay Banks. And I would take either one of those dudes over Forbes any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
They really let
do
the
not
Patriots.
understand.
They really let the Patriots get Christian Gonzalez. He's going to make an All-Pro at some point in his career. But go
Yeah,
on.
it's absolutely insane. I mean, I loved Gonzalez, and I think Banks is going to be good too. But the guy's like 165 pounds, soaking wet,
You're carrying
and
10-pound weights.
Yeah, he is going to get ate up. Lamb is going to eat him up. Even if he slides over to Gallup, Gallup's going to eat him up. I don't understand some of these moves that they make. Bieniemy's going to have a hard time, figuring this out without Mahomes, without Kelsey, without Tyreek, and all these other players that he's had. We're going to see what he's really about. I really, that whole decision, I thought there was a bunch of other teams that he could have gone to if he was going to be an offensive coordinator that had a brighter future. But I think Rivera is definitely done after this year. He doesn't have it. It's usually around the time he's going to start. A coach is going to start kind of petering out when they really aren't for real. So I definitely think they got words. I don't see anything on the roster that jumps out to me. Payne and Allen are good. The defense is decent, but I just think they're lacking, winning football players, so that's all I really got for them. They're the afterthought.
D?
Their whole organization stinks. As simple as that. Their players stink. Both sides of the ball, they all stink. And the owner destroyed this organization. It's going to be rebuilding next couple of years. I don't know if they tank the season to get because the number 1 pick next year will be the Ohio State wide receiver. I don't know if you'll tank it for him.
The quarterback from USC.
Caleb Williams from USC has something to say, and so does the quarterback from UNC.
Okay, I'm just saying off top. If you're going to tank, you're going to tank it for to get those quarterbacks, and that to be the sensible thing. Now, there's no tanking in the NFL. The game is too hard. Coaches plan too hard, and players will not respect tanking. It only happens in the NBA with the San Antonio Spurs. That's who tanks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
my question is Washington that bad of a team to even be considered? I mean, we're talking about 3 wins. I think they're much better than a 3-win team. I can't say they're, I think there's a big difference between 3-14 and 7-12. I mean, or 7-11, right? I don't think they're a 3-win team because even if they tanked, I don't think they're a 3-win team. not with Brissett and whatchamacallit. Do I think they can win some games of division? I don't know. With that quarterbacking, maybe a game or two. I don't have them winning 3 games in division, not at all. But I don't see them. If they won 1 game out of the remaining 11, can they win 3 games? I think so. I don't see them that bad. I think they could be a top 10 pick team, but I don't think a top 3 pick team is my thing.
And that's really going to be the problem for them. They need that top 5 talent, but they're not going to get it. They're going to play just good enough to get themselves out of a good pick, but nowhere near the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be a good season for them, but we'll see what their schedule is like, who they're playing. They might have some bad teams. They play the Cowboys last game of the year, so we'll see where the Cowboys are at. That might be an easy win for them if they sit some people. But like Dee said, the organization is just absolutely terrible. They might not even be able to keep the Commander's name. We'll see because of the trademark issues. I would love for them to just switch it up again, do something a little bit better. I think the jerseys are terrible too, and the whole decision that they made with that was just boring.
Listen, I buy the team. They're going to be the Washington Cortese. That's what that's going to be. I'm going to name it after myself. Be no racism and anything. No, we be. Thank you, hon. Dallas Cowboys Cup. So if I buy him, doesn't it? Cortez. That's all I can tell you. Conquerors. How about the Washington Conquerors? There you go.
Yeah, Spencer's right. They do have a copyright, a trademark infringement issue with Commanders. Their new potential owner might have to, who's been meeting with the NFL to figure out financing and stuff. He might first thing have to come in and say new name. There's the Red Tails. There's a bunch of different Red Hawks. There's all sorts of different things. You could do the Pigskins or whatever, Red Hogs or whatever. The Hogs kind of goes back to kind of the old, Washington team, the Gibbs team. I don't mind that one. I think there's definitely better options. The Commanders' logo, their jersey's probably the worst in the NFL right now. Really tough to beat that. But I agree. I think we're all agreeing they're in worse shape now, even though they have Bieniemy there. And I think Bieniemy is coach in waiting for Ron Rivera, who is basically like the more modern version of Jeff Fisher. You rode one
Right
Super Bowl appearance to multiple coaching gigs when you're in reality, he's not that good. He must be the best person in the room because he doesn't impress me as a coach. I'm not good with his riverboat run. He rode literally MVP Cam Newton to a Super Bowl when he got destroyed by the Broncos. And Jeff Fisher rode MVP caliber Steve McNair, who was co-MVP with
right
at one point, and Eddie George, and that defense to within a yard of a Super Bowl victory, and they lost, and that's the way it goes. And Jeff Fisher had way too many jobs too. So I think we agree they are worse off, and we come finally to your favorite, the Dallas Cowboys. Dee, I'm going to give you first crack. Better, worse, or the same for the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, let me go back into Herb Adderley coming from the Packers organization that he brought to the locker room. And that's why I like this corner coming in, Stephon Gilmore. I love corners. I love his style, that leadership. That's what we need. We need somebody in that locker room. They all play hard. I like the head coach taking the play calling over. It's on him. It's on those two guys, the corner and the head coach, to run that offense. And the corner plays defense. To run that offense, to play calling, control the line of scrimmage, and getting physical and manhandling. I want 32 minutes of football in my hands. 33 minutes. That's what I want in my hands. We will win the Super Bowl. That's what I want. A winning Super Bowl. I don't want another 13-4 record. I don't want 12-5. He did a good job and he won. Tired of it. Period.
So was that better, worse, or the same?
Oh, I have to say, it's going to be better.
Okay. Spencer?
It's going to be.
I'm going to say better, and I don't like sounding like one of those Cowboy fans who, just always thinks that we're better. You know me. I always criticize the moves that they make, during the off season. I was very upset at first with the Mozzie Smith pick. I thought about it after. It's just a gut reaction all the time because I just always assumed they're going to be very bland and vanilla. I looked into them a little bit more. They want to stop the run. They went and got a huge guy who's big and strong. Um, he's going to stuff that middle, hopefully. He's not going to put up crazy numbers, but we don't need him to. I would have liked Hopkins. I know D's not so high on Hopkins right now, but they didn't give up anything for Cooks. So I'm perfectly fine with it. It was like everything that they did this year, I'm like getting ready to go, oh, that's terrible. And I go, actually, that's smart. A fifth this year and a sixth next year for Cooks. He's still got the speed. Actually, Schottenheimer, he's the new offensive coordinator, he's still close friends with Drew Brees. The moment they got Cooks, Drew Brees texted them and said, "You're gonna love this guy." And all the young wide receivers have been praising him on how he's just teaching them so much stuff. Tolbert, who had a terrible rookie year, very disappointing, has literally been glued to Cook's hips. So I think that's going to improve, some of the younger players on the team. And Gilmore, to line him up next to, opposite Diggs and have Jerron Bland in the slot, Jordan Lewis, who is now healthy and coming back in the slot. I think the defense is going to, explode. They did not lose key people. I've looked up lists and stuff, and you look at key losses, and it's a backup guard, Connor McGovern, Schultz, who we all agree between the tight end they got in the draft and Ferguson and Hendershot, all those guys are just as good as Schultz. I mean, they're if not more athletic than Schultz. So I don't think they even.
He wasn't a Pro Bowl player, yeah.
No, I think he was good and very solid. I think it's a good pickup for Houston. But I think that they added pieces. They did not actually lose pieces. Zeke is not a loss. I love Zeke to death. It was time for him to go. Probably before last year, it was time for him to go. Pollard's clearly that guy. I'm not so crazy about or high on Deuce Vaughn like everyone seems to be out there. I think he's a late round pick for a reason. He's not that fast. He's more quick than fast. I know a lot of Cowboy pages kind of hyping him up. Aaron Sproles already, but I'm not worried about that. I think Ronald Jones could come in and put his head down and make some plays. If Deuce Vaughn gets a screen pass, makes a play or two, then cool. But I'm not expecting Darren Sproles out of that guy. So I definitely think they got a lot better. Like he said, McCarthy taking over the play calling. I couldn't stand Kellen Moore. I wouldn't hire him to coach my Pop Warner team. I think he was so overrated. It's not even funny. Shooting threes instead of taking an easy bucket. That's all it is, with that offense. And, good luck, Justin Herbert and Staley over there who have to deal with him now. But I think the Cowboys got a lot better. I think they're going to make a deep run into the playoffs. And with Gilmore out there, the defense, is going to be able to stack up to these Philly teams, So good luck. Parsons going to D end officially. I think it's going to be great. I would love to slide Lawrence inside, DeMarcus Lawrence, and have him rush from D tackle with Armstrong on the outside of that, with Parsons there. I think they're going to be real good. And Gallimore, too, another D tackle who was hurt last year. They had a lot of guys that were hurt that people don't, know about that are now healthy. So definitely a lot better.
Well, I say this, first of all, about Dalton Schultz. I hate him, okay? I hate him. Personally, professionally, don't care, don't like it. Since 2020, with Dak Prescott, 15 touchdowns in 33 games and 48 yards per game. Without Dak, 28 yards per game and 2 touchdowns in 15 games. And the last drive for the 49ers, he was a chump. He didn't get out of bounds. He didn't make the catch on another play. He cost the Cowboys time and yardage on multiple plays. And I'm not saying the Cowboys would have won. I'm saying he made sure they didn't even have a chance.
Yeah, you made it. It's on him, too. It's on him. Yeah.
Didn't even have a chance. Yeah, the stupid
Right.
play called the end with Zeke at center. It's dumb. It's stupid. Whatever. But Dalton Schultz doesn't give him a chance. The Cowboys are definitely better. You know why? They got the number one man-to-man cornerback in football last couple of years for fifth-round pick. They got a legitimate number two, so Gallup can slide back to the number three, and he's a year healthier for a fifth and a sixth next year. You know, what is their weakness? Because it's not the secondary. They have a phenomenal safety core. They have excellent cornerbacks. Deron Bland had 6 interceptions last year. They have depth now at linebacker. They have depth along the D line. Spenser, I would tell you, you have Micah on one side, Sam Williams on the other side, kick DeMarcus
Forgot
in.
about him.
You can still go Mozzie Smith or Neville Gallimore. Gallimore's phenomenal on stunts. Him and DeMarcus work perfectly up front. And you know, offensively, the offensive line you have is good. Biotis is a Pro Bowler. Zach Martin's a first ballot Hall of Famer, the best of all time.
Which I'm going to introduce him. You know that at the Hall of Fame. He's going to pick me. Go ahead.
Terrence and Tyron can be healthy this year. They're going to be very, very tough. Tyler is a bull, you know, and I think the new offense for me, Mike McCarthy actually he took the year off and he went to his barn, whatever, in Wisconsin and just decided to study film and do whatever. And now when he's come back every single year, he said, okay, I'm going to change this. And it got better. The first year, the Cowboys defense was horrific, all-time horrific. He said, we're going to change that. And they've changed that with Dan Quinn. And now they're a phenomenal defense. They're a top 5 defense at worst, right? And now they've tweaked some things here and there. They've got rid of Zeke. They added some talent with their lower picks for veterans who are actually very good. And we're going to see this Texas Coast offense, which is a mix between West Coast and what the Cowboys have been running. Dak's going to get the ball out of his hands faster, which is better in the modern NFL. The longer you hold the ball, believe it or not, is actually worse. Your percentage, your completion percentage, and QBR, all those things go down. It's meant to get out of your hands very quickly, and that's what's going to happen in this offense. So I think schematically, it's better. I think the players on offense and defensive end are better, and I think the whole team is definitely better. Give me now what you think the divisional standings will be at the end of the season. 1, 2, 3, 4. Spenser, you go ahead.
So I think Dallas is winning it, you know, just in my observation with looking at everything with the momentum, you know, starting from the off season, I definitely think Dallas is taking it. No one's won twice in a row since 1975. It seems like it's been like 20 years, something like that, since someone's won back to back. I think Philly literally in like early 2000s, but it's not going to be them again. I'm going to say, obviously, Philly is going to be in second. I think the Giants are going to be in third. Daniel Jones is going to get hurt. It's just, you know, a matter of time. The offensive line took a hit. He's got all these weapons. He's going to want to make all these plays and extend the play and stuff. He's going to get hurt. And I think, obviously, Washington is going to be in fourth. They might be able to flip-flop depending on how bad the Giants end up playing if Jones goes down earlier rather than later. But I think it's going to be Dallas, Philly, New York, and then Washington.
And D, yourself?
Well, I determined the division by question marks. How many question marks per team? There's no question marks on Dallas, the division winner. There's some question marks on the Eagles. They'll be second place. There's more question marks on the Giants. They'll be in third. There's a bunch of questions for the Washington team. So that's why I have it right there. That's how I break it down. And by the way, to my 2 sons who are married, mommy's here, and you see the picture is tilted. She's gonna yell at me later because and it tilted. I try to fix it, but she's gonna yell at me later.
I thought you were like
you guys been yelled at.
Just slide off the screen.
Hated it.
I'm gonna say we're gonna go Cowboys. I think are first. I don't like that teams don't win back to back in the division. I don't like that the Eagles are Super Bowl losers, which really doesn't trend well for teams recently in the last decade or so. I mean, Cincy has played very well. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like a little bit of the age at some important positions of the offensive and defensive line for the Eagles, which is what has made them a great team in recent history. Age does come into play at some of these positions. So I'm going to go Cowboys, then I will go to the Eagles, then I'm definitely going to go Giants and the Commanders fourth. So that's 1 through 4. I think we're all pretty much on the same page there. Um, it does sound a little homerish, but this is the Cowboys and Coffee podcast. What do you expect here? This isn't the Commanders and Coffee podcast. You want to go watch something, go somewhere else. Okay. We're going to finish with one quick thing, and it's non-football related. What's your go-to coffee from wherever you go? What's your spot and what's your coffee? What do you drink? This is a Cowboys and Coffee podcast. We got to get some coffee in. Spenno.
All right, so I always get at work. I have one out in the food court there. There's a Starbucks. I always go iced caramel macchiato upside down. It's nice, it's simple, it's easy. I recently found out that you can ask for it upside down because I used to try and stir it like an idiot, and it would like get all over the place. I'd make a huge mess. And someone at work was like, "Why don't you just ask for it upside down? They stir it for you."
Yeah,
I
forget
was like,
it.
"Oh,
I've
okay."
worked for
So
8 years and told you that, but forget it. It doesn't matter. What do
yeah,
you
it's all good. I wasn't paying attention. So iced caramel macchiato.
D, your drink.
I like Pike in North End of Boston, Starbucks. The North End. I go to Boston. We go there. I walk in there, and I'm as happy as can be. I go where I want to go and do what I want to do. Pike in North End of Boston.
That's fair.
So
Another Starbucks drink.
what about Baltimore coffee and tea? You like that
I
place
do like.
too, all
I
right?
do. I fell in love with that, but I have to go with North End. It's you know what I mean. I
I'm
gotta go
not
to
mad
North
at
End. I
that.
like the Baltimore thing. I go back down there, son. We'll pick up some more goodies. Absolutely. Those two things that I brought home, the iced teas. You wouldn't believe that type of. I'll tell you off camera how much they were blessed by that.
Okay.
Good.
Well, I'll give you a Starbucks drink. It's for a coffee. I'm gonna do the brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso from Starbucks because I like iced coffee or iced drinks. So that's just the way it goes. But
Oh, I feel like crying.
Honey Joe's down here. Uh, I used to work at a Honey Joe's signature latte is, perfect with a little bit of honey, a little bit of cinnamon. It's a phenomenal latte. So that's where I'm at. Anything? Okay, that's it for the Cowboys, the coffee part. Anything else you want to say about the Cowboys part before we go? Let me tell you one thing. I love that the Cowboys signed Hunter Lupke, the fullback, because he's nasty. And he really assured that the Cowboys weren't going to go back and sign Zeke short of injury. Because I actually think Zeke's future could be at fullback. I know the position is being phased out. The Cowboys traditionally like to still have a fullback. I think they got one for the future amongst many other free agents where I think were great, like Isaiah Land, TJ Bass, who could make the roster, Tyrus Wheat, whatever. Tell me one other thing about the Cowboys that's on your mind. Anything, good, bad, up, down, whatever. D.
Well, the whole play calling will make the team better. In the '90s, North Turner turned the whole organization around. When Shula left, that bum left, North turned around and the ball control, the tempo, the whole thing. They dominated line of they dominated play, and that's what ball control, time of possession has to win. You control the ball game.
And
That's
Spencer,
what the 49ers do well in games. They control the ball game.
right, Spencer, I'm going to kick over to you real quick. I'm going to say this. You talked about getting DeAndre Hopkins. Now he's a free agent. The Cowboys have over $20 million in cap. Would you sign Hopkins knowing that now you'll have 4 receivers, CD, Cook, Gallup, and Hopkins, who don't play at all on special teams? That kind of changes the prospect of your roster. You need that 4th receiver to play some special teams. Now, then you get down to, okay, 5th receiver, Kavontae Turpin, because you really need for special teams, or Jalen Tolbert. Yeah, it's about putting the most talent on the field. Where do you keep 6 receivers, and then where do you start to cut? Where do you keep only 7 linemen, 8 linemen? How does it work? That's my question to you. Okay, you signed D Hop. What does that look like?
So, I mean, to me, once Cooks was there, it kind of closed the door on Hopkins. I would have loved to see Hopkins in there instead of Cooks because you would have been able to keep Gallup on the outside. Lamb would have slid inside, permanently, and I think it would have been amazing because you would have had D Hop on the outside with Gallup, and it frees up Lamb to get all these mismatches and stuff. Um, would I sign him right now? I would, but they're not going to, so it doesn't even matter. That's I would just love to have more weapons and stuff out there, and maybe even explore trading Gallup, who's coming up on about to get paid and stuff like that. So and I think that a number two receiver, they can find somebody else for the future, but with Cooks there's just no room, and we all forget about Turpin. They are talking about using him more on offense, which we were begging last year for Kellen Moore to use him. And there's just no real creativity at all. Literally, just have the guy line up in the slot and run straight down the field as fast as you can. It would scare any safety half to death.
Right. He wasn't
I
even
don't
on the field.
understand. Yeah, it wasn't even on the field. Even what they do with players like that, what they've done under Kellen Moore, under Jason Garrett, is they'll bring them in and run an end around. It's as clear as day to see what they're going to do. They're going to throw a screen or do an end around, a triple, reverse. It's like, oh, I wonder what they're. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do. He's in motion. Like, it's so simple to see. Just have him run downfield. Like, there's no way. But that's what I have to say to that. I am going to say my Dallas Cowboy thing, though. I'm very excited for Dak this year. I love Dak. He's an amazing human being. We've met him before. Dak is as cool as the other side of the pillow. Like, an amazing dude. I'm tired of the slander. Do I think he's a top 5 quarterback? Probably not. But is he a bottom 5? People treat him like EJ Manuel. I think between the play calling and all the weapons that they have, getting back to running the ball, I think it's going to be great for him. I think you're going to see the most poised, mature season out of Dak this coming year. And I'm very excited for him. I think he takes way too much slander just because there's a star in his helmet. I think he would be beloved and celebrated if he was somewhere else. I'm glad we have him. Stop the Dak slander. Even Cowboy fans, they can't stand him.
Of course.
And it's so annoying. He's not a bad quarterback. He's got a ton of game-winning drives. He's got a great win-loss record. And if you look at those playoff games, Dak doesn't necessarily lose these games for that. I think play calling is terrible. Defenses literally get stomped on in the run game, and they kind of slip up at the end. But I don't think it's Dak's fault. I think he's going to have a great year, and I'm happy for him. And I'll keep
I
praying
think
for him.
what Dak could do to improve the offense is when they go, instead of saying Omaha, Omaha, with Peyton Manning, what he should say is Cortez, Cortez. That's what he should say up there. Cortez, and that'll run that offense. We can change the Omaha, Omaha. And then what's this Cortez? Do I need to say more?
Let me tell you this. Cowboys fans have forgotten what it's like to have Anthony Wright as your starting quarterback. Quincy Carter, Ryan Leaf, Chad Hutchinson, Drew Henson, Vinny Testaverde, Brooks Bollinger, John Kitna, Brandon Weeden, Matt Castle. That's what they've forgotten because Dak Prescott came in and took over for Tony Romo and has played heck of a football over a career. I'm not saying he's Roger Staubach or Troy Aikman, but I am saying he is definitely a good enough quarterback right now, and I think he's a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl in this offense. That being said, he's got to do it. It's up to him. He's got to do it. So here's your shot.
But he's worth $40 million, not Daniel Jones. He's throwing 30 touchdowns a season, and gets the $40 million contract. Daniel Jones, throws for what, 20 barely, if that, and 2,300 yards or something stupid, and he gets it. He's definitely worth the money. The contract is also, spaced out enough where he's not a huge cap hit. Daniel Jones is. So I just had to throw that in there too.
Daniel Jones had 25 touchdown passes the last 2 years combined.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear it about who's. I think it was Chris Sims who had him 2 spots above Dak. Chris Sims, you should pay triple whatever tax you paid next year. I hope you stub your toe, your pinky toe, on the end of your coffee table tonight. So it's stupid. Anyway,
At least that, Paul.
what was that?
At least that should happen to him.
Right. At the
Yeah.
very least, that, I don't wish any serious ill will, but I hope the next time you're playing cards, you lose every hand. Something like that.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. So I hope when you play Rummy 500, you don't get to 500, sir.
Mhm.
I hope you lose every Uno game you play the rest of your life. All right. That's it for Cowboys and Coffee podcast. D, do you have, or Spen, you guys have anything else to say before we get going? Shout out to anybody.
Shout out my brother and my dad. I'm glad to be able to do this with you guys. We talk on the phone all the time about this, every little detail. We've been watching these guys for a long time. We've met these guys. A lot of them are great people. I'll miss Zeke. He's a big ball of energy. I hope he, gets picked up by a contender later on. He gets to be in the playoffs and stuff. But I'm glad to be able to do this with you guys. I love you guys.
Love you too. Go ahead, D.
My buddy Mike Pabilski lives two streets over. We grew up together. I'm gonna go over to hang out with him. We're gonna talk about when we were kids playing baseball, playing basketball at the YMCA, playing at the War Memorial, playing softball together at grammar school. We're gonna cry together. I'm gonna hug him. I love him. Mike Pabilski is the man right now.
All right. I'm going to shout out to Hunter DeLucio. We met actually at a Cowboys game years ago. We flew on the way there. I think we definitely flew on the way back. The Cowboys game, we sat next to each other and talked, commiserated the whole time as the Cowboys lost. I hope you're doing well, man. He's engaged now. He's a good dude. That's the guy I want to shout out today because he's, you just meet people along the way on the journey. Cowboys fans, this Cowboys Nation is a pretty cool place to be a part of. So we're growing, we're thriving here at Cowboys and Coffee podcast and Designated Report. And I hope all the guys in the fantasy football chat leave me alone now because Spenser, you finally got on here. So they filed a petition. They started a march in the streets. They started rioting. They were outside my house picketing and everything.
They're picketing.
Nobody ever shouts out to me. Just want to say that.
Yes, we do.
No, you
For those
shout
of you
at
listening
me.
and not watching, that's our mom. That's my mom, me and Spencer's mom, Maggie. Hi,
Yeah,
Mom.
that's Monk.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, babies. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
So
Good. Love you.
we love you too. So that's it for the Cowboys and Coffee podcast tonight. Listen, thanks for tuning in. We have more stuff coming. Check us out. Designated Report this summer. We have a lot of articles. We have all over the place with pro sports talk and everything that's going on here on the Cowboys and Coffee podcast. We've always got something to talk about. Thanks.
Good job,
We'll
Spencer.
see you guys later. Peace.
Later.